Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Jeff the IT Guy. Today we're back with another video. Today we're going to be looking at the NZXT Creator PC. This is NZXT's top of the line pre-built that they sort of have made and shipped to you. So you don't have, it's not customizable or whatever. It's a true pre-built, it's ready to rock and roll whenever you put an order in. Sometimes it's like 20 days, 10 days, it just depends on everything and how the virus is going. And so this one here, like I said, it's their top of the line. So it features top of the line specs. And let's talk about those. So first and foremost, you're probably going to notice the large GPU. That's a 3090. So it features NVIDIA's new RTX 3090 in here. It's also got 64 gigs of RAM, 3200 megahertz. It's got a 10900K, which is a 10 core, 20 thread processor. It's got 280 millimeter liquid cooler. It's got RGB out the wazoo inside of an H510 Elite case. It's got a 1 terabyte NVMe drive and a 4 terabyte hard drive and an 850 watt gold power supply from Seasonic. And so this thing for the longest time retailed at $3,500. When you went to go buy it, it was $3,500 for the longest time. Now, if you go to buy one of these, it is $4,500, which is absolutely ridiculous. Don't spend that much money on this unless your kids' lunch money depends on it. If you've got to feed your kids, then go ahead and do that. But it is outrageous how much this thing costs now due to the pandemic and everything. Everything's sky high. So up till about 2 months ago, this was 35, and now it is 45. So that's a shame, but that's just how it works in the world of supply and demand. So let's talk about the performance of this. And so this is aimed towards content creators like myself, 3D artists, 3D modelers, video renderers, graphic artists, artsy people, and people who need a lot of hardware, a lot of power as well. So you can even use this in IT. This is my work computer. This is what I use for all of my stuff. So whenever I'm working on, architectures for AWS, if I'm rendering a video or anything that I need for work, this is what I use. And so in Geekbench, for a single core score, you get 1340, pretty decent. Multi-core, you get 10,239, so that's pretty good. I put this thing through some stress tests like OCCT. It just allows me to check the temperatures and everything, make sure it's going to work. So it hit the 4.9 gigahertz all core all the time, which is strange. I think there's some weird voodoo going on with the motherboard because it shouldn't stay at 4.9 all the time due to the way Intel's Turbo Boost works, but I think there's something behind the scenes going on with this motherboard that's allowing it to go that high. And so the max temperature while running OCCT is about 88, 89 degrees. So it's pretty high. I mean, it's pretty high. And the power draw is almost 200 watts. So it's getting up there. It really is. In Cinebench, running this for 30 minutes, you see a 4.9 gigahertz all core for the whole time it's running, and you see an 84 degree CPU temperature, so it's pretty high still. Doing a render on this thing, so in Premiere, rendering a 50-minute 4K video took 13 minutes and 10 seconds, and that is using the match bit rate, so it's 4K 30, so matching the bit rate. It's a max render setting in Premiere Pro. Took 13 minutes and 10 seconds. That's pretty good. I mean, that's about 1/4. So if you think of a 50-minute 4K video, rendering it in 13 minutes, that's pretty good. And so, of course, you're going to want to talk about games. This isn't meant for gaming, but of course I guess it really is, because they do market this towards gamers and streamers. So, of course, it's going to stream like nobody's business. And of course, it's going to game like nobody's business. So in games, like Borderlands 3, for example, 104 FPS. This is at 2560. That's ultra settings. Kept the 4.9 gigahertz clock. The GPU had a temperature of 69, which is pretty good, and a 1965 max boost clock on the GPU. This is without any overclocking, of course. And then I checked out Godfall. In Godfall, we've seen a max FPS of 140. We've seen a 71 on the GPU temperature, and still that 1965 GPU clock. So let's talk a little bit more about the PC as itself, and then I want to talk about what I don't like about it, because there are things that I don't like about it. So on the top, you've got a single combo port for headphone microphone. You've got one USB 3, one Type C, and one USB 3 Type A. In the front, you've got a super stylish glass front panel with two 140mm RGB fans. In the top of it, you've got a 120mm, I do believe, 120mm exhaust fan. In the rear, you've got a 120mm exhaust fan. Inside, you've got the Kraken X63, which is a 280mm cooler going through. Well, there's really no ventilation in the front, so awesome. Let's talk about, the motherboard, for example. This is an ASRock Z490 Tai Chi. This is a $400 motherboard. It has Wi-Fi in it, of course. It's got two gigabit ports. Well, actually, it's got one 2.5 gigabit, one 1 gigabit. So that's pretty cool. So you can tell that that is made for creators as well. The power supply is semi-modular, which isn't cool, but it is what it is. All in all, it's a good-looking PC. Let's talk about what I don't like, because there's quite a bit. Number one, what I don't like is this case. I'm forever bewildered why NZXT chose the H510 Elite. This is like a meme machine. Ventilation is the suck. For this sort of hardware, I don't know why they went with it, but they did. They shouldn't have. I mean, it does look good. I'll give them that. Like it's pretty. It's got RGB. It's a meme machine, RGB. But practicality though, it's a $180 case with little ventilation, and it's not that big. There's not a whole lot of expansion in it. So I don't know why they went with this case. They could have went with the H510, H710, and I think they would have been better off. I don't really understand as well why they went with the Z490 Tai Chi, because it is a $400 motherboard. However, you can't overclock without getting rid of your warranty. So it's an overclocking friendly board. It has a lot of premium features, and maybe that's why they went with it. Maybe it's because they couldn't get the features that they wanted in a sub $400 board, but it's kind of like, well, we can throw it in there. We need to meet that price point. So not sure why they went with it, but it does feature it does have a lot of features, but still, you could have shaved some money off on there. 3090, it's good. It's okay, I guess. For what it is. I think a 3080 would have been a better choice, personally. The percentage difference, I think it's like 10-15% in performance. I think that the 3080 would have been a better deal if you're looking for gamers and streamers, but I do know that they are targeting content creators, and so I can see why they went with it, because it does have the extra RAM as well. They put a semi-modular, no, they didn't even put a semi-modular power supply in this. It's non-modular in a $3,500 machine. It's awful. That's dumb. Don't know why they did that, but they did. And so, and also in this case, you can only put one extra hard drive. If I'm thinking about content creator and how large 4K video takes up, you should at least be able to put 4 drives in here. I think that's what I would prefer, is 4. So, there are some, some things. So for example, if they would have went with a cheaper case, okay, so you went with a cheaper case like the H710, which is around 100, 120, Okay, they are the manufacturer of it, so they went with that H710. Saved some money there over the H510 Elite. Went with that. Then they could have went to a 360 millimeter cooler like the X73, which would have been better for me for this CPU. You also would have gotten more hard drive space. So I think that would have been, a little bit better. There's some changes they could have made to really make this a better machine and fit the price point better, in my opinion. So, but all in all though, it's a real... Hey, this is post-recording, Jeff. I'm just gotta throw this in there because I forgot about it. Whenever I received this, my cooler was actually broken up here. I don't know if you can see it. You'll see it in the B-row. It was broke and it didn't impact the cooler working. I mean, it's just an eyesore. And so, unfortunately, to get it fixed, you have to send it back to NZXT and they'll replace it. Which, to send this from where I live back to California, it'd be like $200. So it's really not worth it to me. It does work, but do know that it did show up because of the plastic, the bubble wrap stuff. It actually cracked the screen on the cooler. So, that's something you have to worry about too if it's getting shipped a long way. Also, this thing has some terrible, terrible coil whine. I forgot to mention this in the video. The coil whine is awful. I don't know if it's coming from the GPU or the power supply. My feeling is that it's from the power supply. It is an 850 watt Gold Seasonic, which it should be good. However, it's one of the lower end models from Seasonic. And so I really can't tell if it's the GPU or the power supply. I do believe it's the power supply because it doesn't do it in games that don't put a heavy load on the power supply. So when you do something that really revs up the power supply, because I mean, you gotta think this is some power hungry stuff in here, then it does cause massive coil whine. So I do believe it's the power supply, but then again, it still works and I could replace it myself, but I can't if I want to keep the warranty. So, like I said, $200 to ship it back. It's not worth it. So keep that in mind as well. I just wanted to make sure that I got that in there, that there was some issues with this PC from shipping, like the broken cooler and that there's a lot of coil whine. So let's get back to the video. Really good machine. It does its job. It creates. It's a beast. I mean, it's top of the line hardware. It'll last for years and years and years. So if you're in the market, don't buy it at $4,500. Just don't. It's dumb. If you can find one secondhand for less than like $3,000, I'd buy it. You probably won't though. And if these ever drop to $3,500 again, then yeah, that's a pretty good deal. So that being said though, listen, this has been Jeff the IT Guy. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I don't mean to give NZXT so much crap, but if you've seen my videos before on this channel, you know that I've been impressed with a lot of the stuff that they do, but I'm not going to be biased towards something. And so there are mistakes that they made. Those are mistakes that can be remedied to provide you, the consumer, with a better product. So that being said, listen, y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there. Also, stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing some more stuff here on the channel. Like, I'm going to take this and I'm going to show you how to make it better the way that I think it should have been made. So, we'll see how that goes. But listen, y'all have a great day out there and keep it